Thanks for having me. This is I guess I'm leaving Ramapo, as Mary pointed out, after 9 years. So this is kind of a bittersweet time for me, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But it's a place I love. This is a community I love. I guess in life sometimes you have to make a decision if you want to take on new challenges, and I think this is the right time. But I do it with great hesitation. And as my mother pointed out, you're jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. So that's a goal. It's a lot more practical than I am. Let me talk a little bit about some of the exciting work that's been going on that's kind of linked our work at the school, and I'll give you a sense of what I think is the landscape of secondary education. And I think Ramapo and Indian Hills, I think, are, and Midland Park is too, because I know Nick over there is doing great things. But I just want to give you a sense of the landscape. We could talk about that a little bit, and then I'll give you some specific updates about the school. But I think the theme for this year, and I think it's an important theme that's starting to percolate around those of us who are practitioners at the secondary level, is finding ways to build, in the educational phrases, building more connected learning for our students. And the theme is, there's an elegant way to put this. One of my colleagues put it this way. The reason for this, I think the central reason for this, is students see their learning as a whole. We're the ones who tend to fragment it. In other words, we fragment it by along. We are wing. You can think about the physical structure of the high school. The departments are literally divided into wings. A lot of the assessments occur kind of in isolation of other departments. Students don't often have the opportunity to synthesize everything, to pull everything together. And there's reasons for that. Obviously, when you get to high school and it starts in middle school, one of the strengths of the experience is moving toward greater specialization, more intensity. But I think perhaps, and I think this is what I'm really excited about, educators are realizing that there's got to be kind of a counter thrust to that a little bit, right? Again, the elegant theme that the way my colleague phrased it was to say, students see their learning as a whole. We tend to fragment it. So we've been working a lot. We started last year, but then this year we really pushed some exciting things together around this theme of building connections. And I just want to talk about a few of them. One is, and this is kind of occurring at our level, is to encourage teachers within departments to work together more closely. And the phrase that's used is interdisciplinary learning. But the point is for teachers from different departments to cross boundaries, to work together on learning experiences or assessments that combine the subjects. Some of them are probably tried and true. So you probably know that at Ramapo and Indian Hills, we've had a long-standing American Studies program in which an English teacher and a history teacher work together to show how the two disciplines are interrelated, to show how the disciplines can help kids get deeper insight, that work in one discipline can help students get deeper insight into the other discipline, and the two actually kind of support each other. There's kind of some surprising connections that we made this year. I saw a great lesson this year, and when I first tell you the combination, you'll say, what are you talking about? A Spanish teacher and a chemistry teacher got together. Actually, I'm sorry, a biology teacher to teach a lesson. And I went into this somewhat skeptical, saying, oh, this sounds kind of contrived. This is one of the things I'm pushing for, so you're saying let's put together sort of chocolate and ketchup, But here's what they did. It was really extraordinary, and I think it just gives you an insight into the excellence of the staff and the creativity and such. The Spanish teacher reviewed some basic concepts in biology in Spanish, and then the Spanish teacher, she then sort of reviewed some of those things. And that's all fine. And the kids, this is, by the way, the setting was a Spanish classroom for 9th graders. And I could see the kids were, just by the fact of the novelty of it, they were intrigued. But then they took it deeper, and here's what they did. They then gave the kids a collaborative assignment in which they had to compare the Spanish diet with the American diet. And they gave kind of the standard list of what individuals in Spain eat in the course of the day and what Americans do. And then they had to do some calculations. What's the calorie content? What's the percent of fat and all this other stuff? All in Spanish. And then they shifted toward. They actually had an interview on. They had a segment from a Spanish news program talking about, I guess, some concerns in Spain because I guess aspects of the American diet are starting to filter in. and then they had a follow discussion. So that's just that, that's kind of a snapshot of the power of this. And we're going to go deeper though, and I'll give you a few things. The aspects of being connected. It's not just within the school, and this is where Rotary fits in a big way. It's also building connections outside the school. We often talk in my field of K through 12, which one of the things that my staff has embraced is that's restrictive. We need to think K world, right? How are we connecting to the world? And we built some very good relationships, and Rotary is certainly one of those, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we've firmed up our relationship with the colleges, with Bergen Community College and Ramapo College. So now 11 courses at both high schools are now college credit bearing. So students can register, they take the course at the high schools, but then they can register through the colleges, and they're earning. So that's connecting them to the colleges, because then the colleges provide experiences. A number of our students have done field work at local universities and colleges to work with professors, to visit facilities. It's also very practical because you're starting to shave off some of the costs of college tuition, right? Which is a huge burden for families. We're building connections on the outside with, for example, in our engineering department, we have an engineering program in science. They've built a powerful connection with the firm that's doing the reconstruction or the construction of the Tappan Zee Bridge. And a team of our students actually went out there this year to actually go to the site, and they were taken on to the construction site, hard hats and everything, getting to see the work, getting to see how math and engineering and science and physics, how it all comes together. Closer to home, and this is something I was just so proud of, virtually our entire science department and a large cohort of Ramapo students hosted the Franklin Lakes Oakland Wyckoff STEM Challenge. And we invited students, 8th graders from all 3 middle schools, Valley, FAMS, and Eisenhower, to come for a day of workshops, challenges, presentations. And the beauty of it was not only were we combining the kids, building connections and showing how their work connects with real world problems, we also, by design, the projects were interdisciplinary. So all the projects included an English component, so we had English teachers involved, mathematics, so we had mathematics teachers involved, of course science and multiple disciplines in science. So all that was kind of a powerful way. Again, kids see their learning as a whole, we're the ones who tend to fragment it, so I was really proud of that. Moving forward, there's some really, I think, exceptional work going on around literacy in both high schools, where we are now moving toward, I think we're moving rapidly, and we're taking a cue from our middle school colleagues, because let's face it, at the high school, I joke around, we tend to say, our strategy for teaching kids to get through difficult text, it tends to be the osmosis model, which means if we just throw text at you, it's going to somehow penetrate your pores and you'll become a better reader. And I think we're realizing that literacy and giving kids the capacity to really comprehend and get through difficult text, that's something that we have to do across the lines. It's not just an English responsibility, it's something that needs to be embraced in all departments. And there's some really exciting work that's going forward around that. Again, the theme is to build connections. We already started, but we're going to continue just to wrap this up, this sort of academic piece. We've put a much greater priority on alternate assessments, where instead of just kind of standard pencil and paper tests, we're moving kids toward challenges where they have to do work that connects with the real world. They have to do work in which they combine multiple disciplines. And we're moving toward that, and we're really excited about that. I'll just highlight a big project that kind of celebrates that. Ramapo is hosting its second Shark Tank contest, which is hosted by Wyckoff Chamber of Commerce. We had many submissions this year in which students have to present business models, 40 submissions, which is fantastic. And 40 doesn't even capture it because most of these are team-based. So we're talking, 80 kids. Yeah, 80 students, again, synthesizing their work they're doing in multiple disciplines to come up with viable business models, to come up with projects that take on challenges and solve problems. We've done work, there's one more thing, we've done some great work around wellness and ecological awareness. Again, teams of students working together to solve problems, to come up with programs, and it's really been extraordinary. We've had some, I'll just finish it up this way. with the kids again and with the outstanding faculty. We've had some really extraordinary guests come to Rampo this year. So back in January, we had Ambassador David Sheffer, who was the former ambassador on war crimes issues in the Clinton administration. He's a professor at Northwestern and heads up the International Human Rights, the Center for International Human Rights at Northwestern. So very preeminent, very prominent person talking to kids about that topic. And then back in February, Gavin Schmidt, who's the director of the Goddard Center in New York City, as a dual appointment at Columbia and NASA, and he's one of the probably one of the most important voices on climate issues. And he came to talk to all the students, and then we had some various programs around ecology and climate and that kind of thing. So very exciting work. So, you know, I say this with all humility. This is my 9th year at Ramapo. I think by any measure the school is thriving. I think, you know, we're thriving in the arts. You may have heard we have a pretty good athletic program. I'm extremely proud of the academic work that I see going forward, and I'm proud of that. I say that with humility because I know that's teamwork. You know, hopefully I've had a steady hand at the tiller, but there's a big crew, and the boat doesn't go forward without a crew, right? And then the third thing is, and this is where youth is so important, is service. You know, and I think you know, Sue mentioned all the fantastic stuff going on at the middle school. I'd say that, you know, the kids, there's legs to that, Sue, and you'd be proud that continues forward. Our Interact Club continues to thrive. It's one of our largest clubs at the school. My colleagues from other high schools say, Lou, we get maybe 15, 16, 20 kids coming out for Interact, and we literally don't have enough room sometimes in the little theater for all the kids that come out for it. They take the initiative on things. I'll give you 2 quick examples, or 3 actually. We've been working closely this year with Patterson Camp YDP, which is an after-school program in Patterson. And groups of Interact kids have been going there consistently to tutor and to build relationships with kids in Patterson, which is fantastic. Last week we hosted a dinner for the Camp YDP kids, and they came by Ramapo, and that was fantastic. Again, all Interact kids and their advisors, Mr. Tomasilli and Carrie Mayones. So I was so proud of them for that. This Thursday, if you're interested, we're hosting the fashion show at Ramapo, which is a fundraiser for which Interact has played a part in, and that's a fundraiser for Patterson Boys and Girls Club. Interact has kind of just supported that. It's not technically it's 2 girls were the initiators of it, but Interact's been a big supporter of that. And then we also had a consignment shop sale, which raised funds for another charity that Interact also. You know, my point is Interact is sort of a go-to group. You know, so they do their own things, but then they're also willing to support other kids as they go forward. And that really, I just want to close on this note. Something I'm very proud of, and hopefully it is somewhat a part of my legacy, is that, you know, Ramapo is competitive. We have really strong kids academically, athletically, et cetera, so forth. But you know something? I think it's become a softer place. And I say that in the best sense. I think it's become a more compassionate place over the past 9 years. I think kids are more caring toward each other. That's not to say we don't have problems, and we have to be mindful of that and careful of that. But you know, if you think about things that are going on, Sue mentioned the advisory group. We started something like that 8 years ago at Ramapo. We call it the Ambassador Program, whereby senior students peer up with 9th graders, and it involves 1/3 of the senior class. And I think it's been very effective in kind of helping to build a caring, more supportive atmosphere where the seniors aren't out to say, well, let's really hassle the freshmen. No. Instead, let's turn that around and let's welcome them and let's support them. And then the 9th graders, I think, feel much better about that. We involve a large portion of sophomores and juniors in our Heroes and Cools Kids program, which links them with middle school students. And then, of course, the 9th graders, there are newcomers, but they step up and they're involved with Holiday Festival or these other charities of these organizations. So, you know, you put it all together. I think your work to build community, to reinforce the importance of engagement, and compassion, it's filtering in, and I really think that I'm very, very proud of that. You know, the sense of responsibility, the sense of commitment, the sense of engagement that I see, you know, being a part of the fabric of the place. And I'm real proud of that. And I think I want to thank you because you've been a huge part of that. I literally with financial support at times, but also I think just by setting the right tone and by, and by supporting my students for all these years. So I thank you for that, with RILA, for international exchange, and just in, in general, just your kindness. So I thank you for that. So that's it. I'll take questions or.